Hang in there.
Initiating Operation Ak Canal debrief with Operator Morse.
Got it. Full review, right? You want me to put together a presentation? Come back.
Command has concerns regarding the outcome. Detail the sequence of events.
Concerns?
Patrol at 2 o'clock.
Target down. Boarding.
Mission objective. Verify the contents of Hudson's cargo. Avoid direct engagement. Enemy support is positioned close by. You have 10 minutes.
Stand by the breach.
First floor, 3 units. 2 upstairs. We're compromised. Breach! Bob's your uncle. Got evidence.
All units, rally at the cargo bay entrance for evac. Now!
After confirmation of the Dark Star fuel, your signal died. Explain that.
Comms failed. It's documented in the report.
You weren't with the team. So where were you?
Bob's your uncle. Something's off. Checking it out.
All units, rally at the cargo bay entrance.
Unknown acoustic signature at 2 o'clock. Radar empty. Requesting permission to investigate.
Just heading at increased speed.
The sound's gone.
Torpedo inbound, bearing on 48!
Defensives are down! Torpedo range, 600 meters! 400 meters! 200!
Given your performance during the operation, Command has determined you are no longer fit for frontline deployment.
What's that sound?
Don't lie to me! This ship isn't carrying anything good! Got you, mate!
We're pulling out! I repeat, we're pulling out!
Hang in there.
Cargo was confirmed, exposing Hudson's operation. So what is it you're actually searching for? State your reason for joining GTI.
I'm looking for something. Something right in front of you. Something you cannot see. Keep it down. I need to listen.
Warning. Control system compromised.
You want to know how freedom is made? Patience. Violence. Struggle. Evolution. Transformation. Combat. Liberation.
Take Subject 42 alive.
Everly, a Havoc recovery is on the target. Acoustic signatures match your mark signature with high accuracy.
Record their movements. I'll find them.
Target acquired. Staging retrieval.
The signal's blocked. I can't pinpoint their location.
Guess it's up to me then. The echo of truth cannot be silenced.
Burst Fest is behind us. The war isn't. No halftime. Stage 2 starts now. Kickoff. Log in daily and take home a weapon appearance, turbricks, and armament vouchers. Every day counts. First half. Operations. The soccer wave is hitting Asara. White balls drop across maps. Pass to squad mates. Shoot at the goal. Or take on the soccer ratties roaming Zero Dam, Layali Grove, and Brackesh. Every play earns event coins you can spend on rewards. Dig for loot and you might pull a golden football or an iridescent football collectible. Loot and extract. Hit the hot zone. Rack up match time to earn mid-season EXP. Redeem it for the action, avatars, calling cards, and armament vouchers. Take down special soldiers and bosses. Search courier cartons and collect rice dumpling. Spend them on cosmetics or GOAT supply pack for limited red tier collectibles. Miss the UEG? No worries. Search storage boxes and it might just turn up. Second half. Warfare. Multiple updates. The fight doesn't stop. Vanguard Breakthrough is open. In attack and defend on trench lines in Cyclone. Receive the front line from the Vanguard squad and push from the follow-on area. Luck's Favor is back. Melee only. Zongzi drop on kills. Pick them up for health and speed. Capture the Flag returns. Reworked. Secure your own flag before your team can score. Smaller map, fewer vehicles, more contact. Arrow Clash returns. No required operators or weapons. The mode arms you automatically. across all warfare modes. Hit your kill and playtime milestones to earn mid-season EXP and redeem rewards. That's your mid-season update, operators. No halftime, more war.
Can't I just have 5 minutes, peace?
Everly, we've picked up abnormal acoustic signals in the Eastern Sea.
Just dolphins mating. It's that time of year, after all. You won't get away.
Luke Everly, codename Morse. Class, Recon. Morse is a former Navy acoustic intelligence specialist with deep expertise in maritime acoustic environments, making him highly skilled in the analysis and exploitation of sound waves and portable sonar equipment. As an operator, Morse excels in the use of his jammer, a portable sonic device that disrupts enemies by reducing their audio detection range. Morse's advanced sonar device emits sound pulses to scan for enemies, generating markers on their positions.
No more secrets! Jammer out! Point flash! Sending jammer! Throwing delayed flash! Allied troops engaging. Searching for hostiles! Throwing delayed flash! Sending jammer! Throwing jammer!
Shh. The storm is coming.
Reveal yourselves. Found you. I make my own luck.
Enemies, be alert!
Well, good afternoon and welcome into the Delta Force Invitational Warfare Americas Finals. I'm Goj, and I told you we'd be back, folks. We just had the EMEA Finals earlier today. It went by quick. It was a 3-0 sweep by Reborn. And I gotta say, I don't know about this one. America's, I think, is gonna be a little bit more hotly contested. We've got two fantastic teams who, frankly, dominated their group stages to get to this spot. Both teams desperately want it, and I'm so pumped to see who not only wins $10,000, but also makes it to LAN in China, folks. That's what we're playing for. It's gonna be a dang good time, but I'm not doing it all by myself. Let me bring in my co-host, Vivid, back for another cast together today. Vivid, my man, how you doing after the break?
Super good, man. Got regenerated, you know what I mean? Of course, we needed to for Americas over here. EMEA was absolutely crazy. A 3-0, pretty much utter domination on that side of the board over here. Jumping over to Americas now. I've been hearing for some people being like, oh yeah, it's probably gonna be the same thing. And then on the other side of things, like, I don't know, it might be a little bit closer. So honestly, I'm not entirely sure what to expect here for the day, but I did have one request when we were over there on EMEA, and that's what I wanted to see a different map. Over there on EMEA, we saw Ascension, we saw Cyclone, and I'm just looking for a little bit something different. So hopefully we get that here.
Dude, I totally agree. I don't know if we've rolled the maps yet, but we'll talk about maps and modes and picks and bans here in a little bit. Let's talk about the format first for those that maybe didn't watch EMEA or don't even know what's going on. Welcome. It's Delta Force Invitational Warfare, folks, and these teams are qualifying to LAN, not only winning $10,000 today, but going to China as a full team of 20 plus subs and coach. Really cool stuff. But for the competition today, it is 20 versus 20 here in the Victory Unite game mode. Now, each team will be able to ban one map at the beginning of the competition, and then our next two maps are randomized, which will give us our first 4 games. If we do go to game 5, it is a best of 5. If we go to game 5, then there's some rules on who gets the priority pick on either map or side. I'll talk about that if we get there. But the group stages, yes, these teams already battled through group stages, each going through groups of 4 to get to this stage. 8 full teams of 20 plus subs, coach, and everything in between, all battled through this best of 3s to get to this stage. These two teams will play a best of 5. And like I've said already twice now, we're going to China, baby. It is a huge global LAN event with teams from all over the world, and we're about to see who's going to represent the Americas region. You see our map pool on the far right-hand side. 2 of those maps will be banned, and I want to talk a little bit more about the teams before we get into the maps. I know, Vivid, you're excited about it, but let's talk about the Avengers first, I believe. We've got our first team of the total of 2 teams. Our first team is the Avengers. Vivid, this is a fantastic roster, and I'm excited to see what they can do.
Yes, absolutely. I'm kind of looking through some of the names here because, you know, typically I'm a little bit more familiar with the Americas region. I do recognize the squad over there, that it's going to be composed of Neo, Owen, Foxilia, and EUXD. Shot over there at the region, or perhaps I'm just pronouncing that name wrong. But of course, we have Avengers here today. And like I already said, I do see one of the squads that I do recognize. Outside of that, I mean, I think this is a bunch of new teams kind of coming into Warfare here. We talked about it a little bit earlier on. Goj is way better at explaining than I am, but I'm going to give it my best go. These squads, how it used to work in prior times when it came down to the Warfare competitions, is that they would basically, you know, queue up as 4 and get randomized into a squad of 20. But now all of these teams had to register as 20. So that's kind of why we're seeing some of the new teams kind of show face, because anybody that's kind of forming a team wants to go ahead, do their scouting reports. You know, they want to make sure everybody's kind of good and, you know, pick up some of these newer players here. So yeah, a team of 20 players being assembled, like, you know, assembled. See what I did there, Avengers? It's crazy, right? You got to find 20 people that can mesh well together.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and this team certainly does just that. Let's talk about what they did in the group stages, all commanded by Neo. You'll be seeing a lot of him today. Like I said, they played a total of 3 matches in a group of 4. You had to be top of the group to make it to the stage. They went 6-0. Now, their average attack time does show that some of the games were a little bit close, but they went 2-0 in every single match that they played, putting them at 6-0 in total in the 3 matches that they played, with tons of kills, great revives. Overall, this is a very strong team. Quick note, by the way, about this Avengers roster. You may not recognize the individual, but you might recognize the Black Clan, BLAK Clan, that is a part of a couple of their players' tags. They've been around in the gaming scene for a while now in multiple different titles and have been thriving in the Warfare scene here with Delta Force for a while. They created this Avengers roster all under Neo. and a bunch of gentlemen that are looking to make their first appearance on land. They describe themselves as grown men, hard workers, and family men. I love it. Let's talk about their opponents, though. Maybe some young guns. I don't know if they've got families yet. Maybe some of them do, but it's Innistrad Esports, and Wormy is going to be their commander. Now, again, same story here, Vivid. A lot of squads of 4 that we may recognize, or individuals we may recognize. This is the first time we've seen this roster on main stage as a full team of 20. What do you see here?
I mean, the first thing that screams out to me is Wormy. And I'm happy, obviously, he's highlighted in yellow over there because he is going to be the commander. But you could kind of argue that his name is highlighted for other reasons as well. Just individually speaking, I feel like one of those players that has had performances after performances where we've been like, okay, this guy is just like the GOAT of Warfare. Like, he is genuinely so good. So I'm excited to kind of see him on the stage here today. But speaking more to the actual team as a whole, a little bit of information. Goes was kind enough to go ahead and ask these teams for a little bit of background. They pretty much describe themselves as, 4 leaders bringing in their most talented players from the North American and the Brazilian region. So kind of combining 2 regions right here to compete in Americas. And one interesting thing about this entire squad is that they seemingly, went ahead and agreed that they would be like leaving behind some of their friends. You know, when you kind of enter competitions, it's kind of hard because you might be gaming with your buddy Bob, who, maybe not be as good as you or anything like that. You got to leave him behind. I mean, you're like, I want to go ahead and compete in this game. You got to leave, behind your friends to go ahead and actually make a competitive squad. So that's what a lot of these players did. And they have one goal in mind, and that's becoming champions at the LAN in China later on this year. So very, very excited.
Now, let's take a look at some of their stats. I could talk about this roster for a while because I know a lot of them, but Vivid, I do want to draw your eyes to not only the same game record as their opponents. Look at that average attacking time. Now listen, okay, they played 3 matches and they obliterated on attack. I mean, defense as well, but the average kills and average revives don't really tell the whole story because the time really colors in all of the blanks there, right? These maps were so quick, it was unreal. I think they were waiting for their next match longer than they were ever in game. It was unbelievable what they were able to do in group stages. Now, the Avengers team is probably the strongest team, or definitely the strongest team rather, that they've played yet, but this will be the first time that they've been tested. So I'll be excited to see what Innistrad's able to do. On a sub 10-minute full attacking time, folks, that means they're finishing an entire map on attack, capturing every single point in less than 10 minutes on average in 6 total games. I guess that some of those are on defense, but 3 total games is what that average is. So yeah, Vivid, it was a crazy time in group stages, and that team had a dang good time. Now, talking just briefly a little bit longer about that roster, I recognize Rasta, I recognize Snarf, I recognize a lot of these players. I was talking to Wormy before this competition, and he said just that. You brought it up. 4 different leaders all bringing together their players that they played with to create a full team of 20 that they think they can win with, right? It's actually a very similar story to what Reborn did, except that even a little more segmented, right? And so it's cool to see these teams try to represent their region by pulling the top tier rosters. That's the best they can do. It doesn't matter who their friends are. They're playing with the best players of all time. I know if you were trying to make a competitive roster, it would certainly bring me along because we're both very good, but maybe for somebody else, like some of our production folks in the back, you maybe don't invite them because you got to go win. But let's talk a little bit more about the maps and modes we'll be playing today, folks. I told you there were picks and bans this time around, all right? Things are getting more and more competitive. I am excited. And it looks like, oh, wow. After watching Ascension in EMEA, Innistrad said, no, we're good. Banned that. Avengers banned Aftershock. And then we pick up our 2 random maps, which will be Trainwreck for game 1 and game 2, and then Threshold for game 3 and game 4 if we get there. Vivid, what do you think?
Oh man, super excited for this. I can say right now, the Trainwreck kind of feels like one of those maps in Warfare that I personally have like played the most. I don't know why, it just kind of stands out to me as one of those maps that feels like I have like the most experience on. From a competitive standpoint, Trainwreck is, man, it just plays like so weird, especially around like Sector A. We've seen some weird things with the vehicles over there. Bunch of cool things that you can kind of do. Trainwreck is also one of those maps where we have seen guided missiles make an appearance a lot towards that, you know, last sector. So I'll be kind of paying attention to how long it actually takes some of these maps to go. I mean, if we're talking about an average attack time of 9 minutes, obviously guided missiles aren't going to be playing a factor if they're able to actually replicate an attack like that. But I expect them to have, you know, tougher competition here today. So I expect these matches to go a little bit longer, and we might just see, you know, some of those streaks kind of come out. Now, Threshold is also very, very interesting because it was one of those maps for, you know, a long time. I feel like me and you watching Threshold over and over and over again, it was like super, super hard to actually attack. And then I can't remember the team name, but they absolutely like obliterated on it. You know what I mean? It was just absolutely incredible performance. So Threshold, I feel like, still has this developmental stage that hopefully some of these teams have experienced through scrims and, you know, just playing the game together. And we'll see some cool strategies kind of implemented on Threshold here today.
Yeah, Threshold was fun. I think you just mentioned that as well. Threshold was really fun in Vietnam because, yes, there's some really interesting strategies. But yeah, I think we saw it, what, like 11 times?
Yeah, it was like insane. It was like every time it was like Threshold. It was like, what?
Yeah, it was actually unreal how many times we saw Threshold. So we've seen it so many times now. I feel like we know most of the high-level strategies. The way you need to play that map is very particular, especially keeping your vehicles alive towards the end, being able to play for both C sites. We'll talk more about it as we get there. I do want to hone a little bit in on Trainwreck while we wait for the game to get started, and I believe it's frankly pretty close from what I can tell, so we should be jumping into the game very shortly. Let's talk a little bit more about the map. You bring up the fact that it's a little bit of a longer map. It's also a map we sometimes see guided missiles on, which denotes length. It also denotes teams are able to rally up a ton of score as we go all the way to point E, past the train site and past that bridge. You have that kind of double sector or double capture point sector at the end where you can capture underneath the bridge, and you have to capture basically in the spawn of the defense. And it can be quite tricky to get both at the same time because that point under the bridge is frankly really easy to change hands left, right, and center. It's just wide open under there. So we'll see what teams are able to do if they can get there. Honestly, Vivid, I mean, no disrespect to EMEA because there's some really good teams over there, but I'm just excited to see if we can get an attacker on both sides that can pass, you know, point A. I want to see a little you know, a little tug of war like we talk about.
You want to see these matches go the distance every which way. Taking a look at who's going to be on each side to start things off here today. Innistrad Esports is going to be on the attack side of things, and Avengers are going to be on the defense. Now, quick note for anybody that may have just joined in or, you know, maybe kind of lost the stat in the back of their brain. Innistrad Esports is that team that we were kind of talking about that had that 9-minute average attack time. So we are expecting them to come into this and be very, very strong attackers. But on the other hand of things, we are also expecting Avengers to put up a better fight than probably what Innistrad Esports was going through when they went through the group stages. That's just kind of how tournaments work in general. You just face tougher teams as the competition gets deeper and deeper. Now, quick reminder as well for anybody watching at home. These teams are in a best-of-5 head-to-head matchup right now, and the winner goes to a LAN in China in just about a month. So there is a lot on the line over the course of the next couple of hours, so strap in, get ready, like both of these teams need to be.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, you would hate to go down early, especially in, you know, traditionally defense being one that you could win, where attacking can be quite a bit difficult to beat some of these really good teams. Let's see what Innistrad is able to do. We have their average attacking time of a little over 9 minutes. So let's see how fast this one falls to their hands, folks. Everybody buckle up as I don't even know what's happening already. Already A is under fire. It looks like they full sent on some vehicles. I'm seeing all red in the kill feed. And because of that, everybody on A faltered for a moment, and we're picking this up immediately. I haven't seen a green kill yet. There it is. Got one. It's on the right.
We literally tuned into this match, and within the first 5 seconds, the sector was getting captured already. And I was like, wait, what the heck is going on? Gosh, Sector A is unironically all but... Is it going to get... Is this seriously happening?
They wanted to give that one up. They wanted to give that one up to set up for new. It's all good, man. We're just gonna set up for new. Everything's fine. We're setting up these sick establishments. We got like this great shot of the overall battlefield, and I'm looking at the capture board. I'm like, guys, it's over. We're moving to the next one. Look at them go. They're already rotating up with vehicles up the side here, setting up for this new point. Get ready for the attacking onslaught, folks. We oftentimes say in warfare, it's all about momentum. And here comes some vehicle gameplay on the backside. Tank trying to pick up what looks like a tank destroyer on the defensive side. We do have this new overlay. If you didn't watch EMEA, you can see our vehicle counters. It's 2-1 currently on this side of the attackers.
The one thing that we have seen before is, speaking about threshold, before we actually enter the map here, we have seen a lot of teams give up the A sector pretty quickly. And the reason why they do that is so that way the attacking team cannot actually rake up score that they will inevitably have in the later parts of the game. So
true,
it is something to kind of think about. I mean, again, it happened so fast that I didn't even really get a foothold or an understanding of what was going on. So that's something that maybe could have happened right there. I'm not 100% sure, but early on, I mean, hey, sector A is already down, and the attack onto B is going to be happening quite early on.
Yeah, you know what, Vivid? I did get jump scared by how fast I got captured, but this is looking more like a normal map. I think you might be right. I think they might have just given A, not wanting to give away any score, knowing that they can hold it B longer. Because either way, they're not going to be able to hold for 80 lives on A against a really good team. So they're just going to give it immediately. Good call. Nice read from Vivid there, but we'll see. It depends on how fast they can move on to this next point and maybe say, no, guys, we actually did just stomp them immediately. Okay, so lock in. Still moving. You can see ISD has got a couple folks trying to take this high ground position and keep bodies up, of course, to save lives. But most of the motion is down below. Boots on the ground just trying to get on the low side of B as they start to capture it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm kind of taking a look at that bar in the middle of the screen here. It's kind of teetering back and forth, but the fact that we are nearing the almost halfway captured mark makes me question that call out that I just made about Sector A, because Sector B, listen, you can give up one, like whatever, but giving up two, no. They are definitely losing this one to just the absolute raw power and skill that is coming out from Innistrad Esports right now. And you kind of take a look at the flag. I mean, they're somehow capturing this with literally like 2 people on the sector right now. Like, there is not a lot of attackers actually on this specific sector, but there's just nobody on the defense that can get there.
Yeah, Tank Destroyer rolls up onto the point and actually clears out those couple of infantry that'll stop them from immediately capturing it, but unfortunately they get punished for it. Look at that. The defensive wheel Tank Destroyer goes down. That is bad news if you're an Avengers fan, because that was their saving grace, and now the vehicles have complete runway here from the attacking side to roll up onto the point and just camp it. AVG in a tough spot on B, and we're moving to new already.
I mean, there it is. 9-minute average attack time, and we are actually seeing that in full force here already. And we did get to see a little bit of action coming out from Wormy right there. You're going to see him right there in that vehicle. Pretty much the star player across the board. Every single time we have seen him on a team when we have watched over him. Pretty much known for his domination in that tank destroyer. I mean, he is just so good in that vehicle. That's where he picks up a lot of his kills. But I can tell you right now, his skill ceiling, it doesn't stop there. It's what he uses the most. It's what he's like the best at. But any single time that he does not have access to that vehicle, any single time he's in like a helicopter, super good at it. We know we've seen him jump into competition as well with the bow. He's nasty with that thing. So keep an eye out for Wormy in that kill feed.
I totally agree. Usually he's tearing up the show matches, but this is Esports, and he is crushing it as well. Now we do finally lose the tank destroyer with Wormy in it. A little caster curse there from Mr. Vivid, hyping him up, and he goes down. But the attackers still have a nice presence on the map. Look at where they're pushing. They're pushing over to the C2. This is a classic tug-of-war map in terms of POIs in these sectors. When you look at C2, C1, you commit to one, the other team commits to the other, and then you kind of create this tug of war where you're pulling back and forth between these points until one gets the advantage and can take both at the same time. What we'll want to watch out for is not the defense holding C2, but the defense setting up in the map on C1, preparing for a hold, and if the attackers overextend onto C1, a couple flankers will come in the backside of C2 and recap it and reestablish new spawn points for their team. So we'll keep our eyes out for that in the map. Great map view there from our production team. C2 will fall, but this is not a huge problem if you are the defensive side.
Yeah, the C sector always does play out super weird, because we do see one of them fall early on and we're like, oh my gosh, like this is already over. But It does take a lot more effort than that, as we can see some of the Avengers falling just outside of some of these sectors right now. And we can see a huge push actually coming in here for ISD. It's going to be an offset over there on the outskirts of the map. This is going to be one of those positions that Gojo was kind of talking about, where you want to kind of control these flanks, right? Because these flanks are what make it possible to actually get yourselves back into some of these flags. So if you can control all of the flanks, man, the access points to some of these sectors, they just become impossible.
Yeah, unfortunately, again, we saw it there when we're in the free camp perspective. You can see the vehicle count, and it's 3-0. There's just nothing you can do with the amount of presence they have with these tank destroyers. They now have to prio engineers, which means, hey, I'm prioring engineers and I'm prioring assault operators that can use like AT-4s and rockets. Then you're just focused on the tank destroyers. In the meantime, you're losing both points. You have to pick one or the other. Pick your poison. You're losing either way. Down goes C. Innistrad Esports moving on to D. They are trying to tie their average or maybe best attacking time we've ever seen, especially on Trainwreck, which is quite a long map.
And usually some of my experience of watching some of these warfare competitions, usually when the attack side, approaches the D sector, they actually usually have like sub 100 tickets going into it. Like, that's how hard C really is. But the D sector right now, the attack here for ISD, they have the full 180 right now being available to them. So, I mean, the fact that we usually see attacks go successful with less than 100 tickets, and these guys have 180 right now, kind of crazy stuff.
But here's our D sector. This is what I was talking about. I think I misspoke earlier about E points. It's D1, D2 that I was talking about underneath the bridge. And, I was hearing production talk a little bit for a moment ago about they just don't stop, and I agree. This is a momentum-based game, and look at the onslaught of the attackers just running through the defense into the next point, not letting them stabilize. And again, it's a 2 vehicle to none, math equation. 2 is greater than 0. And when you're able to use those vehicles so effectively to pick up 3, 4, 5 pieces in the kill feed, it's pretty tough to deal with. You have to redirect all of your energy to taking down the vehicles and then restabilizing, even sacking one of these 2 capture points to potentially do so.
Absolutely. Goj, the absolute mathematician. What can this guy not do? 2 is greater than 0. Love that from you. As you can see, the number game being played on multiple fronts here from the side of ISD. I mean, even obviously, you're talking about the vehicle economy. They have the edge up there, but the individual fights, you can kind of see right there. They're actually trading peaks, right? Whenever they're kind of peaking some of these angles against some of the, opponents, they've just got numbers every single time, man. It just seems like they are just one cohesive group moving throughout this entire map.
Yeah, I will say, by the way, in our free camp perspective, just so everybody's clear and on the same page, you actually do have 2 separate kill feeds. You've got a green kill feed on the right and a red kill feed on the left. So it is not only red in the kill feed. You'll see several revives come through there as well, but it's still mostly red. The one on the left was moving a little bit quicker, so keep an eye out for that. When we do have perspective of it, you can see the Avengers are saying, well, we don't have vehicles, let's use whatever else we have. We've got some cannons over here, some AA guns that we could potentially throw down towards some tanks to get some extra damage there, tag up the team here and help the team out, maybe with a couple extra rockets, but unfortunately that was a slight mistake. Hopefully we'll be able to restabilize. All good.
Oh no, that one hurts for sure. Obviously, you're going to be hitting himself with the rocket, but then also his turret that he was trying to go ahead and repair right there. So tough break there. Now, I will go ahead and say that D1 has probably faced the most resistance that we have seen so far throughout this map. As I currently say that, it is now falling quite quickly, but even still, it has taken somewhat longer for ISD to actually get a foothold onto this first flag here. So maybe somewhat of hope being spilled here for Avengers. I will say, though, about a minute ago, I did see the urgent redeployment being called in for Avengers. So maybe that was playing a big part into how they were actually able to go ahead and defend D1 specifically. And as soon as that ran out, it seems as if ISD took full advantage of that. Now, D1 is going to be captured. They have 170 tickets available, which means that the revives from the medics, if anybody on ISD has been going down, have been absolutely on point, making sure that, in warfare, if you are a medic and you do go ahead and get the revive off onto one of your teammates, and instead of them, you know, respawning and having to cost one of those tickets that you're supposed to have access to, it actually doesn't cost a ticket. So it's very, very important in the Warfare economy to make sure that your medics are on point right now. So 167 tickets still available for them to go ahead and attack D2. And as I say that, Goj, D2 is under heavy pressure right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right to call it the urgent redeployment. It does help them out, folks. If you haven't played Victory Night in a while, there is a commander. They earn extra score. They can use that score to call in things to help their teams. You actually see Wormy right there. He's actually marking a vehicle for death is what that is. So if the team is able to take down that defender vehicle that's running away right now, if they're able to get that down, that'd be a huge boon for them because Wormy will earn some extra score and then be able to punch their way into D2 a little bit easier with maybe some artillery strikes or otherwise.
Taking a look at some of the individual ability here out of the Avengers. Remember, they're kind of all just boosting the ground right now because the vehicle access that they have even had during this entirety of the map has been quite limited. So Neo's trying to make something happen right there, but just a Viren in a world full of vehicles not going to be able to make much happen right now. Now we can kind of see that tug of war is actually being played right now on the map. D2 is facing a lot of pressure right now. Now a lot of the times in Warfare, like Goj kind of talked about earlier on, of course, is the defensive side will try to go ahead and get a flank maneuver off to go ahead and capture the other sector that has already been captured. But D1 is going to be able to get fully defended by ISD, but as they had to fall back and kind of defend D1, they did give up a little bit of that D2 pressure, but now they're going to go ahead and make one more push towards this point, see if they can make something happen.
Yeah, this is a huge push. We saw a lot of infantry moving over towards D2. In the meantime, by the way, ISD did lose a tank destroyer, and I believe they kept alive theirs. If we could switch to a free cam look and just double check the vehicle counts and make sure. No, okay, so they do lose it. Unfortunately, I think it was, you know, right when we took a look at one of those player POVs there, they lost that vehicle that they had, the defense did, which means we got some extra score for the attacking side. And as we take a look at D2 and the pressure the attackers have, you can see that they've got nice pressure here, and they're taking D2, but exactly right, Vivid. D1 is being recapped by the defense, or at least partially. It's a split push now from ISD, and we'll see what they're able to do, trying to win both perspectives at the same time.
But as you kind of mentioned, that D1 is now under full control of ISD, and they're capturing that fast simultaneously. They're capturing D2 pretty quickly as well. The natural respawns are going to be coming out for the Avengers right now, which means that they're going to be spawning very, very far away. Artillery barrage is going to come in as one last saving grace for the Avengers, but they got to wait a couple of seconds before that starts to find any value. And it looks like for the time being, D1 is going to be captured in full capacity by ISD, and somehow, some way, with like 5 seconds to spare, it feels like Avengers successfully reclaim some ground towards D2.
It's working. They're able to stay alive. Artillery strike coming down for the defensive side, spending a lot of resources, and in the meantime, it's going to be answered back on the opposite side by the attack. That's an artillery strike from both sides landing on the point, and then a team respawn beacon from Wormy, likely close to the point. I'm not sure I see it on my screen right now. We'll see if we can find it. And while that's happening, they've marked this point. If they can hold, they're able to get some extra score as well. All in all, a lot invested on this push. If Avengers is able to hold here, this could be a nod to at least seeing this game extended out a little bit longer.
I don't know, Goj. If you take a look at the bar in the middle of the screen, it is all red. It is teetering quite heavily in the favor of ISD. 75% of the way captured is going to be D2. 90%, 100% of the way captured. Innistrad Esports, they kind of came into these quarterfinals, these finals right here, coming out of group stages. They made a statement over there. We were questioning, are they going to be able to keep up that same momentum going up against a team that should be a little bit better? The answer, convincingly, yes. They look insane.
A great call and a great moment for the Innistrad Esports team. Very well timed, utilizing that commander score to throw everything in the kitchen sink and more at this defense, who was desperately holding on. And again, I will tip my hat to this Avengers roster because they were able to hold that D point for a pretty long time comparatively, I suppose. Yeah. But the problem is, and you and I say this every single time we watch these games, if you let a team of this caliber walk into the last sector with maximum lives, I just don't think it's going to happen at that point. Like, it's just too little too late. For you to succeed on a map like this and in Warfare like this, you've got to dwindle down their lives, much sooner in the map so that they at least don't go in with max and ideally are going in with somewhere around 100, 120 rather than a full 180.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of looking back as to how this map kind of started, I mean, sectors A and B were both captured, and I'm guessing here, but it felt like 3-4 minutes. Like, it was super, super quick. Looking towards, you know, the C sector, again, relatively quick. The just domination from ISD, very, very hard to go ahead and slow down from the side of the Avengers, right? The vehicle economy was in full force towards the C sector, so pretty much stomped that one out. And then, like you mentioned, finally we get over to the D sector, and Avengers seemingly were able to go ahead and hold them off for a little bit. But I mean, what did it take? Like 5-8 minutes, somewhere around that range, for ISD to finally go ahead and capture that last sector. So all in all, a little bit of a longer match than their average in terms of attacking time, but bigger map, and in the end of it all, they got it done.
Yeah, they got it done, and they did it, you know, like you said, near flawlessly. You know, one of the things that makes ISD so great is knowing when to put the pedal to the metal and when to slow down. We saw them pedal to the metal on just about every single fight until setting up for this last one. You see them slow down, back up, make sure they have full control over D1, and then when Wormy calls in all of their support systems with all of that score, that's when the floodgates open back up and they make a gigantic push. And frankly, look, the Avengers tried to battle it back with score of their own, but that's the way these maps go. If you're getting beat pretty handedly in the first part of the map, you just cannot answer back with enough. We saw the defense drop an artillery strike, and Wormy says, bet I can triple it and pass it to the next person, which will be in the next map. So I'm excited to see what they're able to do on the defense here as we do go back to Trainwreck in a moment. But ISD looking like they are in final form right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looks insane. I mean, just the momentum that they were able to go ahead and build early on. Very, very hard for them to stop. I mean, we saw some great individual performances. Kind of mentioned it going into this one. Wormy was going to be a menace to deal with. He was exactly that. And yeah, we'll have to see if flipping sides kind of does anything for Avengers. Maybe they're going to be feeling a little bit more comfortable on the attack side. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, folks, we're going to head to a very short break. When we come back, we're going to flip the script. Let's see what ISD can do on the defensive side. Back on Trainwreck. It's a best of 5. Plenty more games to go.
Enemies, be alert!
Can't I just have 5 minutes, peace?
Everly, we've picked up abnormal acoustic signals in the Eastern Sea.
Just dolphins mating. It's that time of year, after all. You won't get away.
Luke Everly, codename Morse. Class, Recon. Morse is a former Navy acoustic intelligence specialist with deep expertise in maritime acoustic environments, making him highly skilled in the analysis and exploitation of sound waves and portable sonar equipment. As an operator, Morse excels in the use of his jammer, a portable sonic device that disrupts enemies by reducing their audio detection range. Morse's advanced sonar device emits sound pulses to scan for enemies, generating markers on their positions.
No more secrets!
flash! Sending jammer! Throwing delayed flash!
Allied troops engaging.
Searching for hostiles! Throwing delayed flash! Sending jammer! Throwing jammer! Shh. The storm is coming. Keep it down. I need to listen.
Welcome back to the Delta Force Invitational Warfare. It's America's, and it's 1-0 to the side of Innistrad Esports, who kind of romped their way into a very easy victory to start things off. 1-0 victory, starting on attack. We'll then be swapping sides and going back to Trainwreck. Innistrad back, this time on defense, with the Avengers trying to have their way with the map on attack. Vivid, again, we've already broken it all down. What do you think? Avengers going to be moving to attack. You see them having some success?
Man, I kind of made the point earlier today that it feels like every single time I watch Warfare competitions, I kind of came into it with the initial thinking that, you know, the defense would kind of win games. And I feel like I've just been proven wrong too many times. And I've kind of settled on the fact that, hey, listen, when a team is better in Warfare, it just shows no matter what side they are playing right now. And I've got to give it to Innistrad Esports. Obviously, they looked very, very good in attack. I think that they just look like they're going to be the better team. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them kind of hold Avengers off simply on Sector A, maybe Sector B.
Okay, Vivid's calling for an early exit here. Let's see. Let's take a look at the scores, though, from the attack. As we know, it's going to be extremely one-sided. Let's see how one-sided. Some nice kills across the board for the side of Innistrad Esports, ISD. Siren actually picking up 32 in top fragging for his roster, with Wormy top of the leaderboard as the commander, extra score, as well as picking up 24 kills for the team and playing around that objective as well. So overall, some nice stat lines. Did anything stand out to you, Mr. Vivid?
Yeah, I mean, taking a look at the scoreboard, even prior to us kind of jumping into it here, I was taking a look and I was like, man, it just kind of felt like there was a lack of numbers consistently for the Avengers. And immediately what that got me thinking was it's about those revives, right? Because once you have control over a position, you want to go ahead and make sure you get those revives off, so that way your teammates don't have to, you know, waste time redeploying and everything like that. And take a look at the revives over here on the side of Avengers. I mean, what did they have? Like 2 medics that whole game? I mean, we only have 2 people over there that entered double digits in terms of those revives. I mean, yeah, sure enough, it was a pretty fast game, and it was obviously very, very hard for them to actually get, you know, settled in and get a foothold over any of the positions. But man, you got to be picking up some of those revives, right? I feel like that is such an important part of Warfare competitions, and it just feels like when we take a look at the scoreboard, it wasn't really there for the Avengers.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. I think obviously, as you were saying, like defense, it doesn't prioritize it as much because they don't have a certain amount of lives. But even still, you're right. Yeah. They needed bodies on point, and it just felt like they couldn't keep anybody up. Probably because they couldn't keep their medics alive. I mean, shout out to Foxilia, top scoreline for their team as a medic, as a support player. That is still an impressive feat. But let's take a look again to remind everybody of where we're headed next and where we'll be going after that, because, well, we're going back to Trainwreck and things are swapping on its head. After Trainwreck, though, you will at least see one map of Threshold, if not multiple. It is a best of 5. You've got to win 3 to win this whole competition. So we are swapping sides here on Trainwreck, and then we'll be going to Threshold, and it will be Innistrad Esports on the defense, Vivid.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to kind of see how Trainwreck goes. I will say, you know, I'm kind of talking about it as if I'm already kind of tipping my hat towards Innistrad Esports. So again, I think they just look like the better team right now. We have to talk about momentum when it comes down from sector to sector. What about from map to map, right? I feel like if Innistrad Esports goes ahead and they get a successful defense on Trainwreck, I mean, they're going to be up 2-0. They're going to have a lot of momentum kind of going into Threshold. They're going to be returning to the attack once we do go to Threshold over there. So I feel like they're going to be feeling pretty comfortable, which is why I'm going to lay a lot of importance right here on this attack from the side of the Avengers in this second round of Trainwreck.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, one quick reminder here with Trainwreck is I think it'll come down to how this first point looks as well. You know, I can't imagine that Innistrad will just give away point A, even though it's a hard one to hold theoretically for a long time. Also, a reminder, the attackers, I think this will really be the telling sign. The attackers start with a tank on this map, and the defenders do not, if I remember correctly, which means the attackers should have a pretty huge advantage to start things off. If we see that tank die, that is a red flag. That is a bad news for the attackers to be able to get any value on the map. We will be able to get another one after some time. Hopefully you have a lot more medics this time around on the attacking side, but some things I'll be keeping an eye out for, little like kind of metrics of success or milestones, because sometimes these games can go quite long, even only on 1 point, just because the medics are doing their work. And so little things we'll be looking out for. Are the defense giving it away for free because they want to play on B? Are they more confident there? Cool. Are we staying on A and trying to hold there? Does that tank stay alive? Those types of things really tell us kind of how this map's going to play. I have a feeling, Vivid, to your point, Innistrad is very confident. I think I would not even guess about that. I know for certain they're very confident. And so they won't be giving anything away. They want to prove a point that they're the best team here. And to do that, they're going to try to hold on A.
Okay, looking forward to it. Yeah, I feel like we have seen some attempts towards defending that sector A before, and it kind of revolves around a strategy towards targeting that tank. Like you said, if you want to actually have a chance to go ahead and defend sector A, you got to go ahead and focus in on that tank, right? Because that's going to be the big advantage that the attackers have over here. We've coined some teams before, some squads before, as like strike squad. So it'll be interesting to see maybe, you know, something like that will happen on the defensive side of things, where we have some sort of a conglomerate of Illurus kind of find themselves off in the hills, offset of the actual sector. That way they can potentially maybe target that tank and get a successful defense here on the early sector.
Yeah, I could see a strike team try to make a play, certainly. One of the other key metrics for success on this first point is being able to hold the construction building on the right side of this zone. If you're able to hold that high ground, it kind of takes away an access point for a route to get to the new zone or get into point A. So we'll see if they decide to hold that high ground position or try to play a little further back. But either way you look at it, Trainwreck's a fun map. It's kind of got a lot of... It doesn't have too much CQB. I would say that's probably the one thing it doesn't have. The only way you could really find any of that is probably on the this 2C buildings. It is a lot more open play, a lot more vehicle play, all after point A, though. Point A is a little bit more self-contained. And again, that vehicle will be on the attacking side. So first tank, really desperately need to carry it on into B sector. But let's see. It's time for some more Trainwreck, folks. Here's that tank to start things off for the attackers. It's time to see what the Avengers can do. Kick this one off.
Yeah, it's funny. The attack inside does start with a couple of ATVs that they have early access to, so that way they can get through that sector early on. I did see one of them get blown up immediately by a rocket, so some great aim there coming out early from the side of Innistrad Esports. And yeah, we'll have to see if this one goes just as quickly as it did in the last map. Like, what's going to be the approach here? Is it going to be seemingly as if, you know, the attack side is so good that the sector falls early on and they're going to kind of just give it up to sacrifice some score? And it looks like by how the defense is currently positioned that they are very interested in going ahead and defending this sector like you called out.
Yeah, they've got a split push going. So what they're trying to do is split push from one side with boots on the ground, and on the right, supported by the tank, actually push up and take over this high ground position. You're basically trying to draw the defense over to the left to then take the building on the right that I shouted out right before we started. Unfortunately, it looks like both attacks were just a little too thin. Maybe they could have invested a hair more numbers onto one side of this split push and maybe found some value there. When you split up an attack like this, sometimes you can fail both fights, and that's exactly what's happened. The only saving grace is that we are picking up a lot of revives. You can see red now is the Avengers on the left in this free cam perspective, and our tank is still alive, so no harm, no foul, really. We've lost 13 lives in total, but we can reset up either the same type of push or change up the strategy and go for a different style.
Yeah, I was actually worried already seeing the number 167 up there towards the top. I mean, again, we did kind of just start here, and we were kind of critiquing how many revives they did have on the defensive side of things for the Avengers, and claiming that the importance of the revives would kind of see more limelight as they, you know, encroached and attacked specifically. But, you know, it doesn't necessarily seem like it. Like, they're dwindling in terms of those tickets early on right now.
Yeah, not able to get a lot of revives for some reason, and maybe it's the way that they're pushing in without their medics, or the medics are getting pushed first. We're already at 155. Things are going down dramatically, and that was a giant push that pretty much every single player from the side of Avengers got killed besides our tank operator and the gunner inside of the tank. Looks like they've got an engineer with them as well, which is standard. They're back in this trench, this ditch. This is where most tank operatives will play from, because it's a little bit easier to dodge some fire and keep your engineers alive as well. But they tried to push for the building on the right that I was talking about, and everything has been thwarted. So right now, the goal is stay alive, reassess, don't trickle in, and make one cohesive push together.
I mean, shout out to the side of Innistrad Esports and all of those engineers. We had just watched this tank specifically for, what was it, like 30 to 60 seconds? And I'm not kidding, about every like 3 to 4 seconds, there was a rocket on its way towards this tank. Like, just constant pressure from the side of the defense. So they definitely have, you know, the boots on the ground, anti-vehicle strat kind of figured out, right? And not to mention the positions needed to apply the pressure as well, because you were kind of talking about that ditch. Yeah, we have seen it multiple times, that ditch has been used, so it's kind of hard for those engineers, those allures, to actually find the angle, the positions that they need to see that tank, because it is in such a strong spot. But they had that figured out too, man. They were just constantly applying pressure. And look at that, more rockets finding its way towards that tank. 20% HP. One more rocket could potentially do it, but no, there was a big gap in time between rockets right there, and the tank is going to survive. But again, constant pressure, Goj.
Yeah, look at those engineers. I mean, they are keeping that thing up. Well executed classic strategy of just stack the engineers on top, and as long as they don't get gunned off the top or take a rocket to the back of the head, then this tank will stay nice and healthy. So it's going to need a little bit more firepower than that to take it down. It's taking quite a bit of fire right now. That's 3 or 4 missiles in a row. They can still half. Engineer's still alive. Albeit, as much as we want to focus on this tank's health, because it is an important win con, good grief, there's more ammo crates than bodies on the ground and boots on the ground for the attackers. I mean, they can't get a push going at all on this map, and they've been trying to play through this side. I wonder if you change up the strategy. Maybe run in low, put bodies on point, and force the attackers to back off from this side position and run a flanking squad up here to try to gain some sort of control. I don't know. Spitball in here. Let's see what they're able to find.
And it does look like they are going to go ahead and switch up the strategies. It looks like a highly investment into this left side push. As you can see, all of the red circles that are kind of finding their way towards here. But look at the rotation kind of coming in from the defensive side of things. The comms are going to be coming in that this is being made a play right now, but they have to go ahead and get some boots towards the sector if they're going to be interested in defending this. Looks like they have defended it in terms of capture point, but that's going to be on the backside of the urgent redeployment. For the first time here, Innistrad Esports is going to go ahead and activate that for this map, because they're feeling a little bit of pressure and they want to go ahead and push it back. And look at that. We might have missed it. It looks like they have successfully thwarted all of the red individuals that were actually anywhere near the sector A already. And
yeah,
I mean, they just look too good.
Yeah, they do. We've got some nice respawn beacons here for the defensive side with the urgent redeployment. They're going to be getting right onto the point immediately, kind of expecting either a resurgence of a push or thinking that that push was thwarted a little bit too easily. There's got to be more to it. I'm not sure, but still very clean holds here from the defense. It felt like an overstep, Vivid, honestly. It felt like the attack actually, I love the strategy. It's exactly what I called out. Flank across the left-hand side, but they overcommitted to jump the point. You didn't need to jump the point yet. The defense has complete control of the high ground outside of the point, and you're able to shoot down on you. You can't get any value going. Instead, play low all together in that what I call broken building over here on the left. Slow it down, play from broken, regroup, put a couple beacons down, and then take some gunfights from distance first so that this fight is a little bit easier for you to play for the point. You don't have to jump the point at this competitive level, not immediately at least.
Yeah, kind of just, you know, hold your ground for a second, let your team kind of respawn, work its way back, kind of utilize the position that you have claimed to make something happen elsewhere. But right now it does look like they are kind of invested in going towards this side just a little bit more, and you can kind of see that by the position of the tank, being that it is positioned itself somewhat over here. But an immediate adjustment from the side of ISD. Take a look at that squadron that's off on the road, just a little bit further up the way towards the tank side of things over there, right? They're kind of recognizing that, hey, listen, Avengers, they're kind of looking towards this side. They feel like they can make some progress happen over there because they did just have that one successful push. Let's go ahead and invest a little bit more defense on this side as well.
We got a couple bodies on the point, starting to tick it away a little bit. Defense is not too scared, though. The tank's going to have to back off, so they're not going to have any artillery shelling. They can help clear off these defenders, and as such, the defense immediately retake it. We now see a push coming in from the right-hand side over towards that tall building where we've got some high ground positioning by the defense. If they can take that out again, it'd be a small win contact, which actually help out their team on the point. These bits of construction, kind of the plywood walls and such, break LOS enough, line of sight enough to where you can finally push in here. You can actually play from down low inside. You actually see a team respawn beacon for the attackers here. They're finally getting some footing here. Down to only 80 lives, but starting to make moves with these beacons and the smokes out. You're still going to see a lot of red on the south side of this A point. There's still a chance for them.
Yeah, absolutely. This seems like it's going to be their best opportunity to go ahead and make something happen here. And as I kind of mentioned, that it does look like there is a lot of green that is finding its way towards the point right now. They haven't necessarily stepped foot on it yet, but they are aware of the situation. They're trying to make something happen right now, but the fact that this tank is already able to go ahead and get this close to the point, they're able to thwart so much of the defensive rotation that are trying to come in, that this tank is kind of playing MVP. But I see off in the distance, it looked like those vehicles was kind of making a retreat from the side of the attacking side because there was so much damage onto it.
Yeah.
But look at this. Look towards the point. There looks like there's a lot more red than there is green. It's going to be a successful attack from the side of the Avengers.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, man. Just keep changing up your strategy, find something that works. They're able to get the respawn beacon down in the low side of the point, the side closer to their spawn. They throw the smokes up so that the enemies can't see the respawn beacons, and they just pressure the point with bodies. And then it's kind of the Hail Mary play usually on A. When things are going bad, just invest the tank. Send the tank in and hope it doesn't go down. And a big shout out to our tank operator there, finding a lot of value in transition, picking up 5-6 kills or so on the defensive side to be able to hold the take of point A. So nice job from the Avengers. They made it through A. Still got a lot of work to do.
Now, that was one of those moments that we would call a win in terms of the long term for the side of the defense. Remember,
100%.
Started this match with 180 tickets available on the attacking side of things. After they captured that, they only got back 55 tickets. So the fact that they were down to 70 when they were able to capture Sector A means that they only boosted back up to 125. So in terms of the economy and lives available right now for the side of the Avengers, kind of a win for the defense.
And the defense, this is a classic B push. You're going to hold either. You can play down low inside of the building on the other side of this hill and give up high ground. Don't suggest it. Or play the hillside and hold here as long as you can. Innistrad is going to do just that. Play on top of this hilltop. Don't play inside the point. Don't play around the building. That's kind of your second line of defense. Once you respawn, you can go back and play that side. If you do lose hilltop, fight for hilltop first. You can dwindle quite a bit of tickets just holding the hill.
Now, I do believe Sector B is going to be the first opportunity for the defense to have access to these vehicles, right? Which is why you know, often we do see that Sector A kind of fall quite quickly for the defensive side of things because they just don't have access to vehicles at all. The game just does not allow you to pick up any. So once you go ahead and switch things over to Sector B, you then have access to those vehicles, and it makes it just a little bit easier for you to go ahead and thwart the efforts of the attacking side's vehicles right now. So the fact that Innistrad Esports was able to go ahead and thwart the attacks for so long without a vehicle makes me feel that much more confident that they may be able to go ahead and just hold them here at Sector B.
I agree. Again, seeing our operator selections, same thing we talked about in the EMEA, a lot more Tempest across the board because of the value of her ultimate ability, being able to get the self-revive off, overextend, and stay alive without a medic having to pick you up is a nice value add for the attack or defense, frankly. But the attacker's still battling on this hill, and it's a great call from you. These vehicles are making a huge difference for the defensive whole, just shelling the side of this mountain. The attackers can't catch a break. And it's Muzzy, by the way, the one that's picking up so many of those kills from distance, just throwing down the artillery shells across the way.
It's actually the same story on both sides. I feel like anybody in terms of boots on the ground that tries to press that hill right now, whether they're on the attack or the defensive side, they're getting blown up. Currently the vehicles are set up so well on both sides for just full control over this hill. The vehicles aren't even looking at each other. They're not even peppering each other, doing nothing to interact with one another. They are just each split up, one vehicle on each side of the hill for both of these teams right now to go ahead and just stop the efforts of the opposing side.
Exactly. Both teams doing well with it. We'll take a look at what Muzzy's able to do. 14 kills, by the way, for Muzzy there.
Ooh, great rocket.
A couple extra rockets, but plenty of engineers. Man, they are investing a lot of bodies to keep this tank alive. Well justified to some degree, but at some point, we've got to get on to the point.
Yeah, and it looks like they are well aware of that. They have kind of given up on the idea of just playing back, kind of playing for that hill in the center of that sector over here, trying to make their way towards the train tracks via this little hill on the right side over here. You can see one of the vehicles has kind of made its way up here. We're just going to make the respawn efforts for the attacking side a whole lot easier. But now the adjustment is going to be coming in for ISD. This is what they have been the best at, kind of adapting to the situation that's going to be in front of them. They can kind of see that the vehicles are starting to make their way towards the train tracks. So what do? They invest one of their own vehicles through the train tracks as well. And it looks like they have successfully cleared out every single attacker that was anywhere near those train tracks up top.
Yeah, and again, I gotta shout out Himskate here. He's able to stay alive in this tank. He's been alive for a very long time. He's trying a lot of aggro of the vehicles of the defensive side. And it's a bit of a thorn in the side of the defense, it still being alive. The problem is they just have to invest so much value into keeping this tank alive that there's a even trade-off right now that if it starts tipping one way or the other could really change the game. So let's see if that tank becomes a little bit more active now that they're closing in on about 80 lives and they're starting to find some value on this B sector.
What kind of feels like some sort of desperation play. You can kind of see a squad or two from the side of the Avengers dip their toes into the point right there. But I mean, in terms of backup, there was just none, right? So you're kind of trying to make some sort of a play to draw some attention, but their efforts were thwarted very, very quickly, as we can kind of see some of the vehicle action start to pop off now that some of the positioning has been sacrificed by these vehicles to go ahead and kind of advance their positions. But Randy going to be, you know, rolling around doing what Randy does, man.
So true.
We've seen this before. We know what happens.
Randy is a tank destroyer aficionado. There's no question about that. Always been a top fragger for a lot of rosters leading up to this point. Again, the team makeup of both these rosters is so interesting because, Vivid, you called it out, and while we've got a brief moment here, it's worth reminding the folks. Back in the day with our Warfare competitions, you'd sign up as a squad, not a full team of 20, and you'd be kind of brought together as a team kind of randomly. That was part of the competition. Now, team signing up as a full team of 20, some of the best squads out there, all playing for different teams, all came together to form this ISD roster. It's one of the reasons they're so dang strong. So you see the likes of Brandy Savage and Wormy, who are from North America, playing with some folks from the South America and Central American side, which is really cool to see.
And another one of those kind of plays that I talked about before where it looked like some sort of desperation play. The Avengers, again, sending like one squad, boots on the ground. They do get to the point. They do get to the sector, but I mean, they're there for what, like 5-10 seconds, and they kind of just lose 4 tickets as a result of it because they're cleared out immediately. No revives can, of course, come in as a result of that. So 55 tickets is what we have left to kind of work with here for the side of the Avengers to go ahead and try to break the defense of Innistrad Esports.
Trying to pick up a new vehicle coming in for the side of the defense. It is quite, or sorry, the attackers. It is very low, and they're able to do just that. That is classic high-level warfare. That's not an ISD thing. That's an every team idea and strategy. When a team calls in a vehicle, you have this brief window to kill it before it hits the ground. ISD, nice value added to keep the vehicle tally even.
And taking a look at the wider scope of things, I did see somewhat of a position sort of gained for the attacking side of things. Of course, we have Hemp that's over there in the tank, but I saw another vehicle on the complete opposite side of things that kind of seemed to have made some progress towards the train tracks on the opposite side of things. So interesting to see if anything can kind of come from that, if we can hopefully kind of check out that view over there. And I mean, dude, it's like every single time we tune into somebody on the side of Innistrad Esports, like their vehicle economy right now is just so good. They have so many of these vehicles kind of available to them.
Yeah, it's also just a vehicle, you know, power differential. These tank destroyers are some of the best, most mobile, and they have a ton of firepower vehicles in the game. And so when you see a player like Siren, I've been casting over Siren for like 2 years in warfare competitions. Been around the block since like the beginning. To see them in a tank destroyer, I mean, the amount of veterancy in that, the amount of value you can find from it, just playing around the point, you can take care of infantry, you can take care of vehicles. It's literally called a tank destroyer for a reason. It's one of the best on the map. A little squishy at times, but Siren's making it work right now.
And what was it, like a minute ago? I was talking about the economy in terms of the tickets for the side of the Avengers, and I said 55. Try 25. I mean, they are just getting absolutely slaughtered in terms of the economy that's available to them in terms of the tickets, right? Like, again, I went ahead and critiqued the amount of revives that they were able to find on the defensive side of things. I'm assuming maybe that's going to be playing a big part into why they're taking such a big hit. But now the full investment kind of comes in for the first time throughout this game. Hemp in the tank has sort of made a push towards the sector. They know they have to make something happen right now, and we're going to have to see if their efforts are going to be rewarded with the capture of the Sector B. But the full collapse of the defense from Innistrad Esports, of course, going to come in at the same exact time. A full investment from both sides. Let's see who comes out on top.
Got a Hail Mary. This is how you do it. We've lost the tank. Tank Destroyer is still alive for the attack, but only for a moment. Here comes the rest of the defense swarming the point. The Hail Mary lands flat, and I don't know if we got enough time for another play call. The attackers are running out of field to play on here, Vivid. This is brutal to watch. It was the right play. It was the right call, and unfortunately, it just wasn't executed well enough.
Yeah, they knew they needed to do it. They didn't want to. They knew what could happen as a result of it, right? They kind of just hoped that Innistrad Esports would play it improperly, somehow kind of fumble. But the collapse, I mean, they just had every single direction covered. It seemed like it came in from above, they came in from the left, they came in from the right, they came in from in front of us, they came in from behind us, and a full-on collapse to go ahead and successfully defend Sector B after a full-on investment from the side of the Avengers. Of course, things aren't over yet, but with 5 tickets remaining, I mean, I would be absolutely surprised if there was any hope. And Innistrad Esports continue the theme of the day. When you are dominant, when you showcase how good you are on one side against one of these teams, you flip sides, you continue that domination, and an early lead here, 2-0 for Innistrad Esports.
2-0, and Vivid, I gotta say, you called it, man. They didn't hold on A, they held on B. I saw somebody in the chat. I'm sorry I can't shout you out. I don't remember who you are, but I saw somebody in the chat. They said, somebody said ISD changed. They let off their first sector of the tournament. And somebody else was like, just wait till they get vehicles, man. And they were right. Once ISD picked up those vehicles, everything changed. They were able to hold effectively. They played the hill. They forced the Avengers to think twice about their pushes. And all credit to the Avengers team, because I thought they actually did a great job on the attack to start things off. Once they finally kind of got their flow rolling, they had a couple really nice pushes, but then they just had a Hail Mary. And unfortunately, like I said, it just didn't land. A close one to some degree, but at the same time, holding on point B means a very dominant win by ISD. Let's take a look back on some of those highlights, Vivid.
Unfortunately, no guided missiles on the feature of Trainwreck today, but we did get to see some clear, clean domination from the side of ISD. Once again, kind of showcasing that a team is better. It just seems like they are able to replicate those type of performances no matter what side. I mean, a defense on Sector A was a huge win for them. They went ahead and got the team down to 70 tickets, right? And it was like, okay, you know what I mean? Maybe we can kind of work with 125 working towards Sector B. But like you mentioned, somebody called it out in chat. The access to the vehicles is quickly rewarded for the defense as soon as they make it to Sector B. And as soon as those vehicles kind of made it to limelight for the side of, you know, you got Wormy in there, right? Randy kind of making an appearance as well. And this guy's are just way too good when it comes down to those vehicles to kind of make anything happen.
Yeah, and Himskate did a really good job of keeping the tank alive. Again, I'll keep tipping the hat to that because that's something that's quite difficult against a team like ISD. But unfortunately, you just couldn't get enough value out of the tank to make all that investment worth it. And so they had to full send here. And you saw Siren picking up a ton of value there. Here's the full send that we're just talking about. Tank, tank destroyer, both from the attacking side onto the point itself, and they're just stuck between the crossfire of multiple tank destroyers and a lab from the side of the defense. ISD doing a fantastic job to hold the line and go up 2-0. Now it is a best of 5, folks, so job not done for the side of ISD, but they've got a nice lead over their opponents right now. Who knows what Threshold will look like? Everything could change here shortly.
Yeah, a completely different map. We have no idea what these teams have kind of prepared for each one of these maps. So maybe Avengers look like a completely different team. But listen, you know, they're kind of returning to the attack on the side of ISD right now. I feel like that's going to be their strong suit. That's kind of the side that we have been talking the most about when it comes to how dominant they can really be. So right now, I'm a little bit worried if I am Avengers. I did kind of talk about the momentum-based factor when it comes down to switching between game to game, map to map, side to side. With a 2-0 early lead here for ISD, I feel like they have all of the momentum going into Threshold. So, you know, once again, I'm a little worried if I'm Avengers.
A little worried, but a time to break and rally, folks. We are swapping maps, which means our players need a little bit of break to get situated and get ready for Threshold. We've seen it 1,000 times, and we'll see it 1,000 times more. This is going to be a fun one, folks. You're not going to want to miss it. Helis are back on the menu, and I think I know who could be inside of one. We'll be right back here in just a moment for what could be the last map of this series.
Warning. Control system compromised.
You want to know how freedom is made? Patience. Violence. Struggle. Evolution. Transformation. Combat. Liberation.
Take Subject 42 alive.
Enemies, be alert!
Reveal yourselves. Found you. Oh, shocking. I make my own luck.
Everly, a Havoc recovery is on the target. Acoustic signatures match your mark signature with high accuracy.
Record their movements. I'll find them.
Target acquired. Staging retrieval.
The signal's blocked. I can't pinpoint their location.
Guess it's up to me then. The echo of truth cannot be silenced.
Welcome back, Delta Force Invitational Warfare. It's America's, and right now it's looking a whole lot like EMEA did a little bit earlier. 2-0 to start things off on the day here with America's, and it's ISD at the top by a large margin. However, Avengers is a solid team. Hopefully, Vivid, they can turn it around and moving into a brand new map. We gotta talk about Threshold while we wait on those scores.
Yeah, looking forward to Threshold. Goj kind of mentioned it. We have seen a lot of Threshold when it comes down to Warfare competitive. That being said, it gives us the opportunity to see what these teams have kind of cooked up. Are we going to see something new? Are we going to see something that we have seen before? It'll be interesting to kind of see how this one breaks down in this head-to-head.
Yeah, well, before we move on, let's take a look at the scores from the last map. I'm excited to see what some of these tallies look like. Again, a little bit shorter of a map. Well, frankly, about the same length, actually, of total time, from what I understand. But it is, look, see, this is what I'm saying. Avengers had some moments, man. Himskate was putting up great numbers in that tank. Unfortunately, just didn't have a lot of value with the infantry, being able to push onto the point and actually capture sectors. They get a little moments to breathe. 39 kills is awesome. And our revives look a lot better this time around on the attacking side for sure. 63 from Foxelia, again, really doing a huge amount of work for this team to keep their tickets up. Top support player, was number 1 in the last map and now number 2 in this one. But of course, when I turn my eyes to Innistrad, Izak, Leo's in, both picking up 40 kills. I mean, some fantastic reps across the board, and their top support players at the top as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Those couple of 40 bombs right there from the pair of Izak and Leo, by the way. I can't speak to how they were playing throughout the entirety of the match, but every single time that we kind of tuned in and I saw them, they were actually playing assault characters. They were kind of boots on the ground. So the fact that they were able to pick up so many of the kills right there, just playing kind of boots on the ground. Typically, we see the players that are obviously controlling the vehicles, piloting the vehicles, whatever it may be, being the ones that pick up the most kills, but not in this specific scenario. Obviously, we did have Muzzy there in 3rd, Randy in 6th, and then Siren in 7th. I know that those were 3 of the main drivers, the main controllers of some of those vehicles for the side of Innistrad Esports. So yeah, I'm pretty sure the assault players just absolutely dominated that one for the side of Innistrad.
Yeah, you got to remember how many kills they picked up in point A as well before they even had vehicles, right? I mean, they were just tearing through the attackers' lives immediately. That's likely where they found a majority of those kills early game, and then the vehicles came in and picked up the majority in the kind of second half, if you will, of that defense. But nice job from Innistrad and some solid stat lines, but it's time to turn our attention to Threshold, folks. This is a fun map for many reasons. I actually love this map, even though we've seen it 1,000 times in Warfare Competitive. Vivid and you and I cast it over, you know, Threshold again, like we said, like 11 times in like 16 best of 5s that we casted over, or best of 3s that we casted over in Vietnam last year for DFIW. So this one's going to hit close to home. Now, Threshold is interesting for several reasons. One reason is, of course, the attackers get a helicopter off rip on this map. Very similar to actually Ascension. When you get your first vehicle, you get that first heli in the sky, you have to be very careful with the way you use it. You can get extremely aggressive if you want to go for it, but there's a huge risk associated with that because the defense will start with the lav. They'll start with an anti-aircraft vehicle that can take you down quite quickly if you're not careful. So I'm excited to see what ISD decides to do this time around as they are on attack, how they're able to use that heli. And I guess the main question that many of us are wondering is who in that heli?
Another one of those scenarios where the attack does kind of start a little bit of an edge up. Who's going to be in the helicopter? I mean, come on. We know who it's got to be, right? Wormy surely is going to be in the helicopter for the side of ISD. I feel like we have just seen so many great performances out of him. Now, of course, this is a brand new team. Like maybe there's some differences to be found here amongst the composition of this team. But would not be surprised if we were going to see the star player here, Wormy, find his way towards the pilot seat.
It's always a fun conversation, actually, because Wormy is also the commander. So when you think about what the commander's duties are of being able to see the entire map and issue orders and issue commands to the team, you know, it could work, you know, being eye in the sky. Now, sometimes you're a little bit too preoccupied in that helicopter to help out. So oftentimes you'll see commanders be in ground vehicles. But either way you look at it, as much hypothesizing as we'd like to do, it's a little bit more important to just see what unfolds in front of us, Vivid. Will this be a 9-minute attack on what can be a quite difficult last sector to capture? Those last two buildings at the same time, especially if you're moving quickly and you don't have guided missiles to blow one of them up, it actually can be a little tricky to finish this map off. And even the choke points on the B sectors, like there's a lot that you have to work through to win this map on the attacking side. It feels like a defensive strong map.
Yeah, exactly. I'm happy that you kind of pointed out that those holds on B that often are super hard for any of our attacking teams to actually go ahead and bypass, because I feel like we have seen it before where Sector A is actually kind of given up by the defensive side of things. Like they don't necessarily even try to defend it. And the reason why they do that is because the longer that you kind of sit there on a sector that you feel like you are going to inevitably lose, you're kind of just providing the attacking side with the opportunity to pick up score. Now, if you think about it, if you give them the point immediately on, then they pretty much only have, I don't know, let's say the rest of the game kind of goes 15 minutes and they have 15 minutes to kind of pick up score. But if you add on the 5 minutes that you might get from attacking sector A, and you have 20 minutes to kind of pick up score and kind of help you towards some of those later sectors. So something to think about for the side of the defense. But we're going to be jumping into things and taking a quick look at who's going to be in the helicopter. To nobody's surprise, it's Wormy.
Yeah, it was kind of tongue-in-cheek when I was asking who, but I love the look over the top, free cam perspective. Wormy's going to show us what it looks like to play the heli on Threshold, and he's playing a more defensive strategy. This is the right move. When you play extremely aggressive, oftentimes you can get cut out of the sky immediately. So when he makes his move, he needs to make sure he's exactly vertical over the lob, and then make some quick diving efforts behind buildings. So we'll be watching that heli quite a bit. But looking at the map feed, the attackers have decided to go for a split push as well. We sent a couple over to the left-hand side to play bridge, try to draw some fire, try to get some off angles, while the main force is going to go not underground, but on the low side of the building through the wall and then work their way into the courtyard. And now Wormy's getting really aggressive over the top of the courtyard to help out his team getting onto the point. And immediately, Vivid, all of that setup, all that breakdown, and ISD's already taken down point A.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a little bit of a weird dynamic on Threshold because this helicopter often does have to play, as you can see, behind these tall skyscrapers, which is awesome because it does provide them with some sort of a defense against all of the missiles, against some of the vehicles from the defensive side of things. But when they're sitting behind these buildings like this, they're not really finding any value, you know what I mean? So they have to kind of wait till they get like full HP again or feel a little bit more comfortable. I feel like something has kind of happened. As you can see, some sort of an attack is actually going towards the side of the defensive vehicle right now. Hemp is under heavy fire right now. That was actually going to be a combined effort from the side of Wormy in the attack helicopter and the attacking tank and destroyer. You can see that kind of came in at the same exact time. So great communication there between the two vehicle operators right there for them to actually take out one of those vehicles. Now, again, one of those reasons, Goats, why we see a lot of our teams actually straight up sacrifice this Sector A is so that way the attacking side doesn't actually have an opportunity to take out that initial defensive vehicle. But because they didn't immediately give it up, they were allotted a little bit of time, and they utilized that time very, very well from the side of ISD to take out that vehicle. And now the defense for the B sector is going to be a whole heck of a lot weaker.
Yeah, we desperately need a new love for the side of the defense. Try to get some anti-aircraft up in the sky. We saw a couple of Lulu rockets just trying to hope to get lucky against the helicopter. And you need a little bit more than luck, unfortunately, to take down Wormy. So on to the B sector we go, and we're going to work our way through some choke points now. So you can see the Avengers trying to set up here onto the B side. You're going to hold these yellow tent choke points potentially. And as you look at the point, it's the B2 sector that can be extremely tricky for the attackers to take control of. Especially because, well, often the defense will just sit their vehicle indoors in what I call the garage, which is what it feels like, which is just inside of this bridge area, and they can shell outside from it. Now, the problem is the defense, Vivid, doesn't have that vehicle like you were just talking about, so the floodgates are wide open. As long as you win your trades through this pinch and these choke points, all of a sudden, the attackers are come flying into B2 quickly.
Hemp trying to chase down the helicopter right there with the Allura rocket. Worm is going to be well too aware of that possibility. He was kind of running away. Now, helicopter does lose some of its value, of course, towards B2 as we're kind of checking out that firsthand. As you can kind of see, again, B2 is indoors, so it's really, really hard for the helicopter to find any sort of value. But what it will find value in doing is cutting off some of the rotations on the backside of B2.
Yep.
Then also canceling out some of those vehicle respawns that the defense is going to want to call in, because if this helicopter can kind of destroy some of those vehicles before they even touch the ground, I mean, how much value is that?
Objective Bravo. No, it's a great call. Definitely cutting down some of the respawns and rotation on the backside. And once you look at this. This is what I was talking about. The floodgates are wide open. The attackers are flooding onto B2. B1, they don't even think about it. They sit 2 people on it, and everybody runs right past it. They cap B1 while they're going to cap B2. They have every piece of advantage right now, and they're not going to let off the gas. This is what you have to do in warfare. You have to have the momentum, and you have to utilize it effectively. We've seen some crazy clips. There's still a hope and a prayer. There's still a miracle AT4 rocket that can randomly connect on Wormy when he's not paying attention. It can happen, but they need one of those miracles right now with the way this map is going, as B2 is already to the neutral zone.
Yeah, I think we are in for a quick run right now. I mean, this just feels like we talk about it time and time again, how momentum-based warfare does feel sometimes, but Threshold is one of those maps that kind of puts it on full display exponentially. I mean, the fact that that initial vehicle got destroyed for the side of the defense basically leaves them, again, very, very weak in terms of defending B2, but then also very, very weak in their ability to deal with the helicopter. So it's kind of like this double-edged sword, why that vehicle is just so important. So defending it, we definitely needed to expend a couple of more resources, pay a little bit more attention to the attacks that were going to be coming towards that vehicle right there for the defensive side of things. But that already being said and done, B1, B2 seemingly already said and done as well. Remember, this is 2-0 currently in the series, so if Innistrad Esports are able to go ahead and take Threshold here, that's going to be it, 3-0, and they're going to be having a clean walk to China.
Yeah, I do agree with Vivid. The stakes literally couldn't be higher. $10,000 on the line, a spot to land on the line, and it has to be this map if you're the Avengers. You've got to come online right now, and you've just lost the B sector. Here's the problem. When you're holding the C sector, oftentimes, you can actually hold them at the gates of Mordor here, okay? You can sit up on top of the cranes and just pepper down often when you have air superiority or the lack thereof of anybody in the air. Or B, you have vehicle presence on the ground. We're just now seeing vehicles come in for the defensive side. They don't have time to set up, which means they have to play indoors on C1 and C2, which is bad news if you're a defensive fan, because they haven't been able to catch a nice clean hold basically since we started this tournament. So for them to actually catch a clean hold, they've got to commit to one point or the other and not both of them. I just don't see a way that they're going to get this win, but I hope I'm surprised.
Absolutely. We'll have to see if the vehicle can find any sort of value. Something to kind of think about as well is that the C1 point can actually just get straight up destroyed. So that's something to think about. I don't know if we're going to actually get to that point, but it'll make things interesting to kind of think about if this does get extended because of the efforts of the Avengers here. But yeah, the only thing that separates Innistrad Esports right now and that land qualification spot is C1 and C2. Threshold is very, very hard to break through on all of these sectors, so I would not be surprised to see a little bit of an extended defense here. It's somewhat longer than we've seen over the course of the rest of the competition here from the Avengers side, but Again, it's going to be difficult.
Wormy, nice fancy footwork there in the air, showing us how to operate this helicopter effectively. That was a nice dodge. I for sure can't do that. But a nice push here onto C1 to start, like you mentioned. And that's that crane position you can kind of hold on the opposite side. There's the defensive vehicle on the ground. Let's see Wormy targeting. They don't seem to notice, at least for the first push. It's going to lose half its HP. It is a tank destroyer, so not going to be anti-helicopter. It's going to be looking at the tank destroyer right in front of it. A 1v1 with some engineers, both fairly healthy and both backing off. Nice play from the Avengers to keep their tank destroyer alive. This is well needed. Wormy's just going to pepper it from the backside.
Yeah, I was starting to get wary there from the side of the Avengers because I knew exactly who was lurking in the shadows right there. We've seen that exact play before on this map just a couple of minutes ago, where the combined efforts of the vehicles came in the same exact time. A little bit of a delayed response from Wormy does allow that vehicle to stay alive for a little bit longer, but I'm sure they're going to probably return to that exact same play. As you can see, the attack is on once again towards Hemp in that tank destroyer. Can the side of ISD get this thing off of the map? Because then they would have a huge advantage if they're able to.
The orders are in. The attackers are on the move. Looks like they were showing some presence over at C1 first and then swapped over to C2. And this is what I'm talking about with the defensive side. You got to pick one at this point. I don't think you're going to be able to hold both. And if you commit to holding both, you could lose both. It's a major play, and it looks like the defense is going to try to hold C1. Vehicles addressing C1. Infantry addressing C2. Classic strategy. Let's see if it works for the attackers.
Uh-oh. A lot of firepower towards the side of Hemp in that tank destroyer. The smoke is going to be trying to help him out. Wormy needs to hit a couple more shots. Seemingly able to hide under some cover right now, given just an extended amount of time. But no, it does come in. It's actually going to be Randy who finds the last rocket needed to go ahead and take out the vehicle. The seemingly last hope for the side of the Avengers, the thing that was kind of holding the defense together, surely was that vehicle, but now the Onslaught is able to just go ahead and be set free, because there is nothing that is really going to be opposing any of these pushes here from the side of ISD.
Yeah, very well executed. Once the tank destroyer went down, like I said, the attackers are full committed over to C2 with infantry. They had their vehicles over to C1 to at least show presence there and keep a few folks over there. Outnumbered, C2 falls immediately, and now the attack has a position to play from. They're going to move over to C2, and they've set up some respawn beacons, I believe, on the top side of C1. It's just a matter of time, Vivid. Everything's surrounded. It looks like the defense may try to retake, but guess who's ready? It's Wag on the backside, holding the line on C2 so that his attackers can push over to C1.
Absolutely, and something that I want to put an exclamation point on is that I feel like we have been attacking C1 and C2 for quite some time. Like we really have been, and we kind of talked about how the Avengers were going to have the opportunity to go ahead and hold this, right? It feels like they have a pretty solid foothold. But if you take a look at the tickets available, I mean, Innistrad Esports, they've only lost like 20-25 tickets before they really started to make any large pushes towards some of these points. They really did kind of wait until they were able to successfully destroy that vehicle before they even started to invest any sort of, boots on the ground towards any of these points, or at least invest positions to where they cannot be reached by some of their medics. So they've done a great job on all fronts.
I agree. C2 now trying to get retaken by the defense. You see a couple bodies under the point. Wormy still dodging missiles left, right, and center. Doing a dance in the air that only he's a part of. He's able to stay up so he can get back to these points and help out his team. C2 into the neutral zone and going to the defense's way, and now we're trading. It's the tug of war finally starting as C1's going to the side of the attackers. They invested their vehicles, and then respawning over here means they're going to very easily trade points with the defense. And now it looks like they're taking both. I'd love to swap back over to the C2 point in particular and take a look at what's going well for the attackers. It looks like it's vehicles now swinging over to C2 while the infantry's over on C1. And it's working.
Yeah, they are capturing both points right now simultaneously. The vehicle being invested here towards the point of this. If you have a vehicle on the point, often we do see like the vehicle is kind of left to defend all of this area that you've been able to successfully go ahead and take a foothold in, as Brennan is trying to be a little bit sneaky here. If he can actually go ahead and take out this vehicle, but it's seemingly all out of explosives and all out of rockets as the vehicle goes in. It's like, hey, listen, I feel the presence of an allure. I'm gonna go ahead and leave.
Yeah, Brennan, the route man's actually getting paid on the backside. Nice flank. I think he can just commit to that with his team instead of walking back into the sightline of Randy Savage, who blows you to smithereens. But either way, Brennan had the right idea. Here's the push. It could be the final one. Look at this. C1, complete control. And now that they've established a point onto C1, instead of playing inside of it, they're going to push up into C2 and then push up towards spawn. So the defense has to go through a vehicle to even look at the point. Vivid, you know what time it is. We're going to salute the send-up. Wormy with the BM, because Innistrad Esports has just won $10,000, and they are headed to China for the global land to compete on a global stage in a mode in these maps that they have dominated all day today. Unbelievable job from ISD. They've done it. A clean sweep.
What do they call that? They call that what? Aura farming right there at the end there for Wormy. Absolutely incredible stuff. Kind of doing it in style. I mean, you got to go ahead and salute the man himself, Wormy. Every single time he just does so good in the vehicles, and a full-on masterclass as to how to play Threshold when you do have access to that helicopter early on, closing and sealing the deal here for Innistrad Esports. Like you mentioned, a clean sweep 3-0 with so much on the line. It seems like they were just cool, calm, and collected under pressure.
Yeah, they were. I mean, look, we don't show KDAs on broadcast. That's not something we usually track in Warfare, but Wormy had infinite number, okay? He did not die one time. He had 0 deaths, was in the helicopter the entire time, and he was a lot of our highlight package because it was flashy, but it worked. And in the meantime, while he was doing all the flashy things, his teammates were doing the dirty work. This push on the lob was such a great exposition of how to take down a defensive vehicle in the early moments of the game. Push the equation, coordinate with your team, take down the lab, and then all of a sudden the entire map is blown wide open. You know, it's funny that we could boil down the win con to something so simple like don't let your first vehicle die, but on a map like Threshold, it truly feels that way when you've got a helicopter operator that is such a nuisance on the map.
Absolutely. Very easy to highlight a lot of moments from this match, but that was definitely the one that had the biggest impact for sure. Definitely a well-planned, well-thought-out maneuver there. But yeah, after that, it's like every single time you kind of tune into any of these replays, you try to look towards the defensive side. You try to look for something on the map that is green and is a vehicle, and you just can't find it. And as you can see down there, right, the POV from Wormy, you kind of called it out. 29-0 was the end score right there for the man. So incredible effort there outside, you know, of just everybody. Everybody did such a great job from the side of ISD. And I got to go ahead and tip my hat once again. I'm going to go ahead and mention this. 150 tickets, a roundabout, was how much they kind of ended that last push with. So incredible for them to only lose like 30, even though that was a little bit of an extended attack.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, they did everything right and more. This was the fastest tournament I've seen. 3-0 in a best of 5. It's the same thing that happened in EMEA. There were 2 top dogs. There's no question about it. And they were able to prove it on 2 different maps. That's what I love about the best of 5 format. You've got to do it on 2 maps. And for a team like ISD, they did it on 2 maps on 2 attacks, which, again, very impressive stuff. Now, I will tip my hat to the Avengers team. I want to give them their flowers. They battled all the way here. They had a fantastic group stages, gritted and grinded through some really tough maps to be able to make it to this stage. And a bunch of family man is what they describe themselves as. So nice work from the Avengers. Unfortunately, today was not your day, but to even get to the finals is still a feat nonetheless. Again, we had 8 full teams of 20 to 25 players all registered and play through the group stages, and only these top 2 teams remain. So these were certainly the top 2 teams in the region, but Innistrad Esports is the top team in the region, and they will be the team representing the Americas as a whole. And it truly is an Americas region as an Americas team with people from North America, South America, and Central America all on the same team. They said, we want the most competitive roster possible, and they've done just that. 3-0 on the day, and I'm excited to wrap things up here and hopefully hear from somebody on that roster, Vivid, like we did for EMEA, and talk a little strat and talk a little ball.
Yeah, it would be great to hear from them as well, kind of see what kind of went into formulating the team, see how they kind of break down the squad, see what thought processes are kind of going through their heads as they approach a competition like that. Because we could sit here, we could try to go ahead and talk about how they did this, they did that, but maybe they were thinking something completely different. So always great to kind of get some insight there from the teams themselves, especially when you have a 20-man roster. I mean, how is it even possible for you to go ahead and keep track of all of the thoughts and all of the things that all of those members are saying? Probably not, but I mean, hey, when it looks that clean, maybe ISD, they figure something out.
Yeah, and look, it's not only just that clean from a commander comms situation. We've got multiple language represented on the same team as well. I mean, similar to EMEA. So it's cool to see what these teams have been able to do to build chemistry and figure out this format. Victory Unite is a very unique format, and I said this in the EMEA show. This is such a unique esports because there's nothing like it out there. When you sign up with a full team of 20 members, by the way, both of these teams I believe had a full 5 subs, and I think they both had a coach as well, or at least one of them did. So coach, manager, whatever you want to be. I want to shout out to Chaos, coach manager of the ISD team. Congrats, you're going to be headed to China as well. Just really excited for these guys to be able to go and represent the Americas region. I will say too, for those that watched DFIW last year in Vietnam, this time it's going to be in China. This is the first time Americas is represented on the global stage for DFIW.
Yeah.
We didn't have an Americas team last year, so this will be cool to see Americas represented first time, and who knows, maybe they can make some big waves on the global stage with Vivid.
Absolutely. Before we go ahead and continue talking about kind of what's up next for these teams, let's go ahead and take a look at the breakdown for how this one ended up panning out on the side of Threshold. Obviously, we're going to be taking a look at who went ahead and picked up the MVP. And wow, look at that. Randy, I was actually kind of expecting Wormy to go ahead and take it from the skies, but we kind of saw early on how much value Randy was kind of getting for some of those ground vehicles. So no surprise to kind of see him up there with 41 kills, by the way. That is an incredible feat in a game that kind of felt like it went pretty quickly.
Yeah, and again, this duo of Randy Savage and Wormy have been playing together since I've seen them in the Delta Force scene and Warfare scene for the last year and a half or so, maybe even a hair longer, but kind of popped up in some show matches and was like, whoa, this guy's a little too good to be in show matches. Let's get him into some esports. They dominated that. And now with this full roster, again, boom, Ezak, Snarf have been casting over for 2 years, Rasta, Siren. I mean, all these guys, Wag even down to the bottom of the leaderboard, a fantastic player who was a role player on this roster holding the backline on these capture points. Like, everybody has a role on this roster and is why they succeeded in such a magnificent fashion. But a quick look at the Avengers side, we see some decent totals in terms of the revives. You see 24 revives this time from Masari rather, leading the charge over there. Voxilia as well, but they really couldn't get anything going on this map. There was just so much momentum based on what Innistrad was able to do, Vivid.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? When you see a performance that is so dominant from the side of ISD, obviously you're going to see a lot of low numbers on the side of the team that did kind of seemingly just kind of fall over and falter a little bit. But I mean, yeah, the individual kills right here are a big thing for me. Obviously, losing access to the vehicles, you don't have somebody that's going to kind of stand out that it is going to be operating one of those vehicles. But, you know, again, on the side of ISD, we have those players who are playing Assault, right? Leo and Ezak in 4 and 6 who have 28 a piece over there, and you don't really have anybody even approaching the number 28 on the or 20 on the side of the Avengers. So again, we've talked about it, the individual skill for ISD, it feels like it was just, you know, got the better of Avengers throughout the day. Obviously the big macro play, the vehicle economy, the way that they're able to just cohesively go for plays, they were just dominant, man.
Yeah, really well done. Again, both teams fantastic, but ISD certainly the better team today, and because of that, we'll be representing the region. Some solid scores as well. Now, I do believe we're working on an interview, and I do think it will be with Mr. Wormy himself, as he'll be speak for this entire ISD roster, which will be fun to see. Got a lot of fans in the chat as well. It's been fun seeing everybody popping off here for Warfare, by the way. Some great viewership and some great support for all of these rosters, both in EMEA and here in the Americas region. So thanks for showing up, folks. This is just the tip of the iceberg. This is the beginning of something very special for Delta Force. It's Invitationals and Warfare's operations. It's all fantastic, but Warfare has really been showcasing you know, how cool and how strategic a 20-man roster tournament can go. Now, I do believe the interview's ready. Let's bring in Mr. Wormy and see what he has to say about this ISD roster. Mr. Wormy, welcome to the booth, my man. Congratulations on a fantastic win. How's it feel to get a win and clean sweep your opponent, man? 3-0. It was dominance.
Yes, sir. It feels awesome. We did a lot of planning to achieve today, and I mean, just really good. Like, you know, finally, all of our hard work is paying off. We were kind of bummed out about last year not being able to have the same opportunity, but we're just really happy that we can have it here today. So it feels really good that we can actually work towards something.
Awesome. Yeah, congrats, Wormy. Quick question for you, because it feels like there's a lot of weight on your shoulders. We keep talking about how you are very, very dominant in some of these vehicles. Of course, you do seem very comfortable, but on top of that, you also play the role of the commander for the entirety of this team. So I feel like, you know, sometimes it's got to be a little bit overwhelming, or maybe it's not. I'm curious to kind of see or hear your thoughts on how you kind of take on the role of two such important jobs on a team in a competition like this.
Just practice. The more I can practice holding responsibilities, the more fluid it gets over time. But yeah, just reps. And I'm kind of like a control freak. Like, I always know what's going on the battlefield, and being the commander, I can control the tempo of the team and how we push. So it goes hand to hand.
Yeah, it's a really good shout. Now, listen, I will say this. I can't believe I'm saying this. In EMEA, we were touting what Reborn was able to do and how fast their attack times were. Your average attack times during group stages, by the way, was less than 10 minutes and not much change in the finals. Is it just practice? What is the difference maker? Why is this roster so talented? I mean, of course, on defense, but on attack, to be able to close things out so quickly, what makes your team different?
What makes us different is that we're very nitpicky about our weaknesses, and we try to correct them as soon as we can. And the team is very comfortable with taking criticism and adapting. And everyone is just mature and professional about what we're trying to achieve. So it makes it a lot easier when everything's cordial.
Yeah.
So
nice.
We're just control freaks about our game, and we're on top of it.
Hey, it works. I'm going to put you on the spot here as the commander, so I do apologize ahead of time for this. Obviously, we see a lot of the times when we are watching, again, you get the spotlight a lot because you're up there in terms of score, in terms of kills, because you're always operating the vehicles. But if there was one player on your team, the 20-man roster, that you feel like maybe we have not seen enough of, or we feel like doesn't get enough credit for how much value they kind of add to your team, what one player do you think you would kind of go ahead and give that medal to? Somebody who deserves a little bit more recognition for something they do, and what do they do for your team?
Randy.
Yeah.
Randy is my right-hand man. He is always picking up the slack where it needs to be picked up, and he's like the secondary driver behind me. Like, if I'm not on it, he's on it, and he always gets the job done, and sometimes he performs even better than I do. So I definitely think that he doesn't really get recognized a whole lot, but he really is doing the dirty work in the shadows of every tournament we've done. He's lifted up a lot of weight.
I totally agree. You guys are the dynamic duo. I saw people in chat talking about it. You guys have been playing together for a long time. I've been casting over you for a long time, and I'm really excited to send you to LAN, man, to see what you guys can do on a global stage. The floor is yours. The final question is just whatever you want to say to the fans, whatever you want to say to your stream, whatever you want to say to your team even. Anything you want, the floor is yours here for a moment before I send you on to celebrate.
I just want to thank everyone for being here today. It was a really big day. We kind of figured that we were going to take the win, but we're very eager to take the championship to Wuhan and possibly bring home a trophy. We're planning very hard on winning Wuhan. We've been spending countless weekends watching scrims all day, quad reviewing and adjusting, and we plan to do things very differently than the other teams at that event.
Nice.
So we have a good plan, and we're just waiting to execute.
I love it, man. I'm excited to see what you guys are able to do, and I'm sure there's a lot more scrims coming here before you even fly out, which is really only a couple weeks away, which is insane to say. Man, congrats again. Go celebrate. Tell your whole team congrats, because you guys certainly earned it, and we'll be seeing you in China.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Coach. And
Appreciate
Vivid,
you.
Thank you, guys.
That was Wormy. That was ISD. Vivid, a great interview, by the way. Now, usually Wormy streams with a beautiful cat profile picture that's typing away on the keyboard, but got a little face reveal there because he's going to be playing on LAN anyways, so might as well do it here. I love it. Wormy, great interview. Any thoughts on that one?
Nah, super cool, and I'm very interested actually in his little, I don't want to say spoiler, but the idea, hey, listen, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently than other teams that are going to be competing there. What the heck could that possibly mean? I mean, the weeks leading up are going to have me pondering on that one for quite some time. Very interested and has me excited to jump into the competition on LAN, right? Because I'm really excited to see ISD perform with that little bit of information that we got.
Dude, honestly, you know, it's fun to talk about because we see this in a lot of different esports, and we definitely see it in Delta Force, is that all the regions even play slightly differently, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know if this is going to be representing the Americas playstyle or if they're going to be pulling out some crazy strats nobody's ever seen. All I know is I'm excited for LAN, folks. We've got both our EMEA team and now our Americas team that is headed out to China. And Vivid, I'm so excited to say that we'll be joining them out there and casting over the action, running the English-speaking broadcast. But any final words before we head out to China? I mean, it's only a couple weeks away. This is the last broadcast till then.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Shout out to everybody kind of tuning in and supporting Delta Force Warfare on this side of things, and shout out to the competitors, the players who are kind of jumping into this one. I've got to say, I really do feel like just over the last couple of months since I kind of last tuned in and had the opportunity to sit down and watch Warfare alongside my right hand man Goj, that the way that some of these teams play seriously looks like it has evolved. So it looks like they're giving this a lot of respect. They're putting in all of the time and is making it that much more entertaining for us to kind of sit down, watch, and respect some of these plays that we are seeing right now. So just a huge shout out to everybody that supports Delta Force, and a huge shout out to the players, man, because they are really making this something special.
I agree, Vivid. I couldn't have said it better myself. That's Vivid. You'll be seeing him in China with me as we cast DFIW on a global stage with teams from all over the world. You're not going to want to miss it, folks. It's going to be a ton of fun in person in China with both our ISD team and, of course, our EMEA representation with Reborn, who dominated as well. Both teams went 3-0 in a best of 5. I think they compete with the top dogs from all over the world, folks. Before I send you on your way, I do want to remind you, if you've been watching these competitions and you don't have Delta Force downloaded, or maybe you haven't played it in a little while, it's time to jump back in. Trust me. There's a lot going on in the Delta Force ecosystem in Warfare and operations and everywhere in between. We've got new patches coming, new updates. Go check it out, folks. Delta Force is a banger game, of course, and its esports are even more fun sometimes to watch. So definitely jump onto the game, but also drop a follow on all major socials because, of course, I do want to remind you, yes, these are some really strong teams, but these are all open qualifiers. If you're just paying attention to socials, you could be a part of all of this action next time it comes up. If you want to start training, get on it now. And who knows, maybe we see you next year on LAN in China if we do go back for DFIW. But to do that, you got to drop a follow on socials, join the Discord, make sure you're tapped in on the scrims and all of that good stuff. We're going to get all those links to you if you need them down in the description below. Or if you're on Twitch, just head down to those panels down below as well, okay? And I suppose the last thing I will say is that I'm just glad I'm here, folks. It has been so much fun casting Delta Force all these years now on both operations and Warfare. DFIW is something special, and I am very excited for China in just a couple weeks. You'll see all the announcements about it. You've probably already seen some of them. You'll see more of them on socials here shortly. But folks, the last reminder is that we couldn't do it without you, the viewer. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in China. C2.
So
true.
It is something to kind of think about. I mean, again, it happened so fast that productors right now, you can see a huge push actually coming in here for ISD. It's going to be an all victory night in a while. There is a commander. They earn extra scores. They could use that score to call in things. I'm taking a look at some of the individual ability here out of the Avengers. Remember, they're kind of all just boosted the other sector that has already been captured, but D1 is going to be able to get fully defended by ISD, but as
D, we'll see what they're able to do, trying to win both perspectives at the same time.
but as you kind of mentioned, that
it's working. They're able to stay alive. Artillery strike coming down.
I don't know, Goj. If you take a look at the bar in the middle of the screen, it is all red. It is teetering quite heavily in the favor of ISD.
That I was talking about, and everything has been thwarted. So right now, the goal is stay
a lot more red than there is green. It's going to be a successful attack from the side of the event.
Out. And while we've got a brief moment here, it's worth reminding the folks, back in the day with our Warfare account,
throughout this game, Hemp in the tank has sort of made a push towards the sector. Hemp is under heavy fire right now. That was actually going to be a combined effort from the side destroyer.
So not going to be anti-helicopter. It's going to be looking at the tank destroyer right in front of it.
Seemingly able to hide under some cover right now, given just an extended quite some time. Like we really have been. And kind of talk about how the Avengers are going to have the opportunity.
Now trying to get retaken by the defense. You see a couple bodies under the point. Wormy still dodging missiles left, right, and center. Point. Vivid, you know what time it is. We're going to salute the send-up. Wormy with the BM because Innistrad Esports has just won $10,000 and they are headed to China for the global land to compete on a global stage in a mode in these maps that they have dominated all day today.